Hello and welcome everybody to Around the Battleground. My name is DineOhSaw and I'm your host. And today is our Pre-MSI Super Show. Actually, I can do better than that. I can do better. Just wait a second. Back. Super Show! And we're here to talk about everything going into MSI. Initially, Culture was supposed to be here with me. Unfortunately, he got held up at work and could no longer be a part of the show. So that's going to cut down a little bit on what we're able to do and what we're going to talk about. However, I do have something special for you guys. If you're here for the live show and you came here through the tweet, you already know this is a giant interview laden show. I've been working on getting a bunch of these together for you guys. Unfortunately, they're not all complete even yet. I still have two other people to interview in Emilzy and in Final K. The Final K interview is happening later tonight, actually. And then the Emilzy interview is happening, I believe, sometime this weekend. And then tomorrow, I'm jumping on with the Battleground of the Gods podcast, guys, with J-Mac and talking MSI and Smite with those guys. So that'll be cool. That's fun. Lots of stuff going on. The biggest piece of news to cover as far as new content from our last episode is going to be the one thing we didn't talk about was the Splice Invitational. And that's an interesting thing because it kind of sucks compared to the rest of the invitationals. I'm really kind of mad that they shoehorned it in with the MSI. The MSI is weird in and of itself. You're forcing console to come join PC, and you're not giving console the land that you usually would give them. So they're gonna be they're not gonna give it the time to shine in the kind of the focus there, which is fine if you're moving towards like more homogenized community, which I think they are. Offering the console people the ability to play on mouse and keyboard is kind of indicative of that, to where we're going to have one player base for the competitive scene instead of having console and PC. But that's like a whole other thing, and like we could really dive pretty deep into that, and I don't think this is the time. There's still so much up in the air with that it'd all be speculation. But the Splice Invitational is good in a lot of little areas. The captains of the teams are all console players, so it does force the console players to get involved. They're there at the LAN, so might as well make use of them, right? Which is cool. And then the rules are that they have to draft one player from one player from the Splice team of the 4 available. So then they have to do an SML player, and they can only choose one per SPL team. Cool, right? I mean, it's the same thing we've come to expect. The addition of making the console players the captains is pretty neat. I like that. The problem there is we are getting rid of all the cool stuff that we had in the previous 2 invitationals that I felt like really made the difference and made it an event that I really wanted to watch. Yes, seeing the drafted teams play Conquest was cool, and having them play sweaty games like that is always fun. It's like a ranked game, but not in that regards. I could watch high level ranked games and get the same sort of experience a lot of the time if people are trying. We always get people trying, but if it happens. So on that aspect, I'm less thrilled. We get EGL, and that's fun too sometimes with the EU guys, but they're eliminating all of like the fun stuff. They're eliminating all of the other game modes, the clash games, the arena, and I don't know if they had an arena, but the assault games or whatever. And that I don't like. Because I want to see all of the pros do on her 1v1s, right? Like that's what I want to see. I want to see the goofy, sweaty stuff. The stuff that the casual player base does. I want to see a raid boss with the pros doing it, right? Because there's a difference between me doing some jank shit and it working, and then like the pros doing some jank shit and it working. And are the 2 different levels of jank. The jank that they're able to do, like with their mechanics and their skill level, that would be a billion times more fun to watch than some of this other stuff. And I feel like that was a better part of the Invitational. The NRG Invitational was so much better for Aurora and his team being the bad guys the first day and pissing everybody off and then having a good time with it. And then you got the, what was it, the Vulcans and the Noxes. That was a really fun thing to watch. I don't know. I really don't like that they're moving away from that. And this whole MSI event does feel rushed because of it, because of the lack of console, because of they're just doing with a 1 day of the Invitational. It's just kind of tacked on. Where else would they have done it? So not a huge fan of that. I'm infinitely more excited for the actual MSI games than I am for anything else. I mean, it'd be cool to see the console guys playing on PC with these other players. Maybe there's talks like Wolves could be a SPL player, Wolves could be an SML player. All right, I want to see what he can do, at LAN, playing with these other teams. This is just as much with the SML players as the console players, as with them being on mouse and keyboard. Maybe they're making their case to be, hey, put me on a team, Trifecta, Luminosity, SSG, hit me up. I'm good. We need the new blood, and this could be a way for that to happen. But they're losing like the soul of the event in order to like shoehorn it in and get the console guys involved. So I don't know. That's the rant portion of today's show. Not a huge fan of them kind of fucking with the Invitational. I hope that they do. I hope they either do another event at some point. I mean, we didn't get Spring Fling either, and that was kind of disappointing. So I hope we're not moving away from that side of things. I hope we still kind of get some of those things. Maybe there's some stuff in the works that we don't know about. I would really like to see some like summer. They did the Joust Summer League or whatever it was a couple years back. That was fun. Give me the fun competition stuff. I want to see more of that, and I thought with them all being at LAN, that was maybe some stuff we could get. Do it for the content, right? They're playing once, twice a week, maybe do some goofy stuff in between scrim blocks or whatever. You have them there for a reason. A lot of the teams are really killing it in their content. And, we do have like the introspective series and things like that. That are cool, but then I also just want more stuff around the game too. And I feel like now that the Invitational has the on her 1v1s taken out, what Final K is doing with Rival, the 1v1 series. I want to see some of that's some fun shit that we could add back into Smite with the competitive players. I don't know. Don't force them into it, obviously, if they don't want to do it, but like an opt-in thing would be kind of cool. All right, like I said, that's it. We'll put that down in the box. I could literally rant forever. But today is about the interviews. So we have 5 interviews, I want to say. I think I got 2. We were going to have like 8, and then some of them fell through. And I think it's just around 2 hours worth of interviews. We have SoloOrTroll, the solo laner for Armada. We have Faeles, the jungle for Simplicity. We have Layers, the jungle for Hype Unit, console NA team. We have Cabom, the coach for Splice. And then we have rival console players, DineOhSaw and Davy. There are the dual lane for that team. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Unfortunately, was not able to get anybody, but I wanted to get the top 4 teams for SPL, and I'm still planning on a Millsy is coming up within the next couple of days, so it'll be a YouTube release. Then Final K as well. I'm interviewing him tonight. That'll be a YouTube release. And then I believe I'm talking to Biggie or somebody from Dignitas, and we'll see how that goes. And then obviously we did get Cabom. Other than that, we pretty much got everybody we wanted to. I got the top SML team. I got the for both NA and EU. I got NA EU console. I managed to get everybody else. I just got to get those top SPL people. Maybe no, next week is MSI, so there's nothing else coming. Was super excited. to talk to all these guys. I think you're really going to like all the content. So we're going to basically we'll start playing the interviews and it'll go from one into the next. These were recorded over the past 2 or 3 days. I forget. So it'll be I think we're going to air them in chronological order that I recorded them. But there's no real rhyme or reason for why what's being played is played other than that. And so I think that makes the most sense because at the end I'm saying stuff that I've learned from other stuff, and you guys get that information along with me. So I think that's going to be the most beneficial for you guys. So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to cut it over to our first interview. If I can get confirmation from my producer on which interview is first, so I can throw to it and give maybe some talking points or context before it. All right, so our first one is going to be with Armada's solo laner, Mr. SoloOrTroll. Really enjoyed talking to him. This is the first time I talked to him face to face through the camera. Had a good time. Really good guy. Really genuine, which was what I liked about him. And obviously we're looking at him being one of the next guys up. We look at him and we look at Mando as like the future of the solo lane. So hope you guys enjoy hope you guys watch. Hope you guys enjoy watching the interview as much as I enjoyed talking to him. And hope you guys enjoy all the interviews as a whole. Enjoy. Here's me talking to somebody else. My name is OHS, and this is one of our mini interviews for this week. I'm sitting down with one of the, I don't think you call him a rookie in any way, but one of the young wonderkins of the Smite League right now. We've got SoloOrTroll. How you doing, bud?
I'm all right. I'm good.
All right. So a lot of hype around you this season. I mean, you've been around for a while now. How many seasons have you played Smite for now?
6 seasons since season 1. I started like right at season 1. Came out of beta.
And have you played all 6 competitively, or
no? Just season 4 was like when I first started, but I was like in Combine with Paul, Shing, Madman Mark. Then season 5 was when I first started SML.
Very cool. And I mean, ever since then, like you've just been like a shooting star up. And it feels like, all these other roles have kind of had like their lulls, but it really feels like right now we're kind of in that like golden age for like solo laners right now. I mean, there's so much talent and there's so much talent that you and Mando both are probably the 2 guys everyone's eyeing up right now is like, when are they getting called up? Like, and it's like a matter of time before one of you guys gets. I don't know if you technically beat him up again with being a sub for SPL this season, but we'll see how that shakes out now that they're looking for another solo laner. How does it feel to be like right now regarded as like one of the next great solo laners for Smite and going in the SPL? Like, it's a foregone conclusion at this point. People are starting to think.
It feels great, honestly. It boosts my motivation and inspiration like every day. Like, I'm like, people just keep saying like, oh, you're really good, you're the next in line, and it just kind of keeps me going, keeps me chugging along. So really good feeling.
So earlier this year, obviously you were subbing in for Splice in for Divios, and you got a taste of what the SPL action was like. What was that experience like? I know you won one game, you ended up losing the set, but like overall, how was the experience?
It was great. The SPL part was a little terrifying because it was like everyone's watching, because it's kind of like the talk of the talk that week, and like that those few weeks is like Spice's first game from Worlds. Every Spice fan's gonna be watching. There's a sub. Every pro. The big part is every pro's gonna be watching because it's a sub and they want to see how the sub's gonna do. And versus Rival and Spice are 2 big teams. And in hindsight, the YouTube video, the VOD, it got like 220,000 views. So it's like one of the most watched SPL games. Like League. I think it's the most watched League game, non-World Championship.
Oh wow!
And it was just kind of nerve-wracking. I was definitely very nervous, but yeah, kind of intimidating a little bit.
Now, even though like, would you say that you like took away a lot from that experience, like you being in comms with everybody? I mean, I don't know how closely Cabom worked with you as a coach. Like, When you came out of that experience, like what did you get out of it as a player?
Oh, I literally increased like my skill like rose way up. Because we scrimmed at SP, like every SP, not every SPL team. We scrimmed a lot of SPL teams throughout the week, besides Rival and Dig. Scrim, Trifecta, Luminosity, United, all these other teams, and I did very well in like each scrim. Like literally, I never like did bad. I think the only time I actually got farmed was versus PK, which we all got farmed. But every other team, I had at least one solo kill. Most like versus the bottom teams, I sold them off cooldown. And the games were just stomp, stuff like that. But I definitely learned a lot about the meta, especially that meta. Knowing like playing versus top players and knowing like what's best, like what to build and stuff like that was very useful.
So now you did your time up there. Then so I forget, like you weren't playing, you're playing with Armada now, but you weren't always playing with Armada. Where were you at? You were down in Combine? No, you were down in Combine. Yeah. So that was rough, right? Because I mean, there was a lot of talent. There was like a lot of talent that ended up down in Combine because of some weird SML stuff. Like, you know, how big was like just like the kind of like the aftershock of like, oh, I was just in the SPL this week, and then next week you're back down in the Combine. It's like, oh, this is weird.
Honestly, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel too much like. Well, I mean, obviously, I felt like I just played SPL. Why am I in Combine? But it was kind of like I've been in Combine before that, so I was like used to it. I just know it kind of just increased my motivation. It's like, well, I played at SPL and I did fine in scrims and all that, and I did okay in the set. And it's like I could probably we should be in Combine. So it was like, it's just gotta let the time do its thing.
Did any of your routine, scrims, or anything like that kind of change after you had your time as a sub with Splice? Because obviously everyone kind of watched that game, and it was they lost, but I can't necessarily say that Solo was the reason the team lost. It was kind of an overall type thing. Obviously he's not Divio, so you have question marks there, but overall you held your own in lane. So coming out of that, did that change like any of the scrim opportunities you guys got? Because you were a part of like a Combine team that was, with the new relegation promotion stuff, was headed towards there. So you were gonna be in the SML regardless of whatever happened, with Armada, with Baskin. But the quality of scrims or anything like that, did that change after you kind of got on the big stage?
No, because we didn't scrim at all on our Combine team, so we didn't scrim. And also, the SML things were announced like way later. After I subbed via the Combine going to SML, because before it was just the bottom SML team had to lose every single game, or had to like go like 0-18 or something like that.
They had to like not win.
Not win 2 sets, I think.
Yeah,
or
two
games.
sets. It was just 2 games. Yeah, that was right. It was such a weird it was so bad.
Yeah, it was stupid. And we actually we thought maybe SSG would end up losing all their games, but they eventually won 2. And dude, Armada kind of trolling a little bit, but it's beside the point. We didn't really scrim. Nothing really changed too much from the fact that just some jokes in ranks and just joking around in rank.
Okay. After that, you played along, you guys were either first every week or second, depending on how subs and everything broke out. You and gotta give my shout out to Kiermy's team, just my boys. But obviously you guys didn't scrim, you guys were always coming in first, and then now you got the call up to Armada to replace Baskin. I mean, that's got to feel good, right? When you're called in to, not only you get called in to replace Divio, so that's got to feel good, and then you get called in to replace Baskin, right? Like,
yeah,
it's good company to be in. How did it feel to get that call from Armada and be like, okay, now it's not exactly the call up you were looking for, but it's like the first step into that?
It felt definitely very great. Placing Divios is probably my number 1 idol. Playing Smite, like he's honestly like a good reason why I'm like playing competitive and why I kept going, because like he was a young player, really good at the game, winning lands, stuff like that, season 1, season 2, and it's like I really want to do that. And so I always watch videos to get better and stuff like that. But the Baskin, I always look at the Baskin. He's a good friend of mine, and we talk like all the time. We queued and it was just like I'm like, you know, I'm replacing Maskin right now, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
Was there, what was like the difference in team environment? Obviously going from, you know, your combine team, right, where you're not scrimming. I'm assuming Armada, even though they're steamrolling everybody, they're still getting those scrims in, and even probably at their level, you know, with those level of players, getting SPL scrim partners at that point. Was there like any kind of adjustment period for you to get into that? You know, kind of talk to us about that experience of getting in that because that's a high level like team environment.
Yeah, they didn't scrim at all like for a while, and I got on and I was like, "Yo, fellas, I think we should probably scrim a little bit just so we don't get embarrassed by console players." And so, we scrimmed a few times versus like SSG and stuff, and went pretty well. I think we won most, and it wasn't much of an adjustment. I just kind of went and played the game like I normally do because you know I think I'm at that level, above that SML level, and around that like above. I feel like I'm above that. So like that was just like playing the game. I have to like adjust her too much.
Okay. Obviously, you kind of pointed out that you didn't want to get embarrassed by any of the consoles teams. I'm, you know, I've kind of seen some of the behind the scenes for the console stuff. I've seen them kind of scrim some PC teams. Do you think there's any chance? I mean, Hype Unit and Rival are both pretty good console teams. Do you think they have any chance to take a game off of, you know, either, you know, the SML squads with you and was it you, Sanguine, Simplicity and Flashpoint? Could they take any games off of you? And then, you know, obviously, is there any chance in hell they make it through like the next day to the SPL players?
I think there's a very small chance. I think Hype Unit primarily can take games off Flashpoint, but Genetics said it best, and I think in my chat he was like, the way Flashpoint plays, like Johnny, the jungler, they play I think they play an aggressive, like kind of stompy style, and if the boxers aren't used to that, then it might be trouble for them. I'm not sure if they're using keyboard or controllers. If they're using controllers, they're automatically at a disadvantage. I feel like if they're using a keyboard, then it's like they're not. They've been playing Smite for like years on a controller, so they're gonna be not used to keyboard. I think maybe I don't think Outcold can beat us at all. I think maybe Nemesis could. The NA PS4 team, they seem pretty good. They're like old.
Really?
Yeah. Jumpa, Kovi, I think those guys, they seem pretty good. Yeah, I think probably Hyperion is probably the favorite to come out, I'd say, out of all of them. But I still don't think it'll happen. But
because I know that they will have the ability to use, you know, mouse and keyboard for that, and so I don't know. You know, as for you, if I'm a solo laner, I'm thinking, you know, really looking at it. If my competition is a console player, like if you had to go against, you know, Wolves is a guy who everybody says if he were to make the jump to PC, he could get a spot at a very high level tomorrow. Like that, like just the way that he plays the game. You don't shaking his head.
Nah, dude.
You don't put the respect on the box solo laner legend.
I mean, there's been a lot of boxers that play box and then they go to PC, like Keegsmate, Paul, Sino. They've been successful, but I think I've never seen him play competitive too much. Like I've watched his games. I don't know how like good he is or be good in his right now with how stacked the role is. I don't think he could just jump on and just get in there. I mean, he could probably replace like the bottom two solo laners, but I don't think he could like get on a high team.
Right, but I think even just coming off of the box and going into like SPL tomorrow, like if you're replacing Zalea or if you're replacing Ducky or, you know, replacing whoever, like that's still that's still impressive at this level considering who's waiting in the SML, who's waiting in the Combine, you know. And then my original point though was I don't think a solo laner on the box has as much disadvantage against a solo laner on the PC, especially during the laning phase. I mean, you're not auto attack really focused the same way. You've got more stuff kind of in front of you. You're going to be able to hit your buttons just as well as you're going to be able to hit keys at that point. You know, Are you expecting kind of an easier time with the console, or are you putting like I mean, it sounds like you're putting like a lot of faith in your abilities just to overcome whatever they've got.
Yeah, I think this is my team. I think they're all experienced. I think the biggest thing overall about this SML console tournament is that the PC players have way more experience than the console players, competitive at least a higher level, right?
Mhm.
Mass played at Worlds like multiple times at least, or just played in SPL. They've all played in SPL, like Snoopy, obviously, Gino, stuff like that, and I think they have higher experience than console players. I think Solo Lane is not gonna really like probably just gonna go like it usually does, just like fight a little bit, or just clear the waves, farm, rotate, stuff like that. I think it depends more on who does better in team fights. I don't think I'm gonna get soloed at all by any of the console players. I think I'm just gonna like farm and just play it safe. But if they make a mistake, I'm obviously gonna take the opportunity and capitalize off of it. But not gonna be looking too much. Not looking forward too much, I would say.
Okay. Um, Obviously, I mean, you guys, like you said, you've got the experience, right? So, I got to imagine you're thinking you're pretty much favorites to make it out of the first day, right?
I'd say so, yeah, probably. We could obviously get farmed by like Flashpoint or Hype Unit, whoever makes it through. But I think, I think we can overcome them.
Okay. But say you make it out of that first day, you guys make it in the second day. There's a lot of former SPL talent on your squad. A lot of people saying like this is a team that could be at replacing a bottom SPL team. Do you guys think you'll find success on that second day? Do you guys think you can pull an upset onto these SPL teams?
I'd say hell no. I think versus rival, I think we're absolutely farmed. If we lose, if we get past second round like Flashpoint or whoever, and then we go versus Simplicity in the finals and we lose, we go versus rival. If we win, we go versus Dig. And I think versus either of those teams, I think we just lose.
I respect just like the honesty, like we're good, but we're not that good yet. Yeah, like I appreciate that. Yeah.
I think maybe versus Dig, maybe like there's like a 1% chance we could probably beat them. I mean, I'm probably being too hard on us, but we don't scrim. They scrim a lot. They're like they're undefeated in SPR. If like all these other SPL teams can beat them, then I don't think SoloOrTroll's gonna beat them. So, versus rival though, I don't think we have a chance. They're on fire right now. Like, all their players in every role is looking really good.
All right. We're gonna keep this short and sweet. I think we covered a lot of good stuff. We've got a bunch of content planned for this episode. Is there anything you want to say that we didn't kind of cover? Any shout outs you want to give? The floor is yours. Say whatever you want, man.
Just be sure to watch us play. I think we're gonna have some fun. Should be fun versus Outcloud and whoever. Yeah, I mean that's all I have to say. Just be sure to watch SML or watch us play. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, SoloOrTroll. Drink water. That's about it.
All right, from the man himself. Thanks for coming by, and best of luck. I know I'll be watching you, and then there's behind the scenes we're hearing a lot of stuff about some roster stuff. I mean, there was the SML roster apocalypse, quote unquote. People are already talking about with a certain team, and then obviously, we're. Splice has to replace their solo laner. There's two really good options in you and Mando. Everyone's kind of jockeying. You've already been there, but Mando's also just really good. So which way they're going to go? And then we're also hearing, a lot of other potential roster changes. So I'm expecting to see your name called somewhere in the next coming weeks and seeing you in the SPL.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Also, to add to that, Mando's also played at the SPL level. He was on I forgot what his team was called, but SPL Gatekeepers a long time ago.
I think it was it a Mighty Storm or Anxiety Onset? One of those.
It was Team Vigilant and
Vigilant. That's what it was. Yeah, Gatekeepers. He was he was a pain. I will always fight that the best player on that team was Mando. The hell with everybody else. Mando's Cucullin kept them in games. I will always fight for that.
I didn't really watch too much SPL back then, or I stopped watching back then. But I can't really. I don't have an opinion. But to add to the Splice thing, I think they have me, or they could poach some other SPL solo laner, and if they do that, I'm gonna try and join that SPL team.
All right.
I think I think I definitely have an advantage over Mando in this, but yeah.
All right, there you go. SoloOrTroll confirmed. He's taking somebody's spot in the SPL. We are fucking exclusive here for Around the Battleground. You know, this is what this is content. All right, thanks for coming by, man. Appreciate it. And like I said, man, good luck moving forward.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. And on to our next interview. Next up, we have the jungle for simplicity. We've got Danny, Mr. Faeles. I will always bring it back to like the initial pronunciation.
Either works, honestly.
Yeah. We should have fought the man. We should have fought the F dot more on the Faeles.
Yeah. I mean, I think every caster used a different one, and I think they must have had a meeting and come to an understanding of use this one on.
Yeah, maybe. So we don't have a lot of time. So last time you were on the show, that ended up never airing. So this is the first time a lot of people are seeing you on the show again. Yeah, we had technical difficulties. We had like a 2-3 week point where we just had technical difficulties all constantly. So glad to have you on again. Love talking to you. This one is going to be a little more focused than what we usually do. We usually ramble on and just kind of back and forth, talk about random shit for a bit. But this one I really just want to focus on MSI. Looking at your guys' squad, simplicity. You guys didn't have the strongest start off to the year. You guys kind of, it took you a minute to get momentum. But then once you guys kind of found momentum, you really didn't slow down the rest of the season. Was there any like just growing pains in the start that caused you guys to need a little bit more time to really work together, or was it just the competition was more intense than you thought? Did like Flashpoint coming out so strong kind of take you by surprise?
I think we lost a lot of the games we lost. I think the first one we lost to Outcold. That was our first time properly playing together. And that was when they had Hazer sub in.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they just like we threw the first game versus them, and then we just like completely got stomped in the second. And then our other losses, I'm pretty sure were from our own mistakes. Like the Flashpoint game, we lost because of a bad team fight, where we should have won the game much earlier. And the first game we did lose to them, we should have won as well. And then the Queso one, we had 2 rough Gold Fury calls, and both games like at around the same minute mark, and we just lost based off that.
So it's really interesting to hear. So like your first time playing properly as a group was in competitive SML game up against Outcold them. So I guess as you guys kind of played, actually properly played, I'm assuming you guys were scrimming throughout the season. We're hearing talks about all these teams not scrimming, but did you guys get more comfortable with each other, and is that what's caused you guys to look stronger, or is it just being more comfortable in season 6 like individually?
Well, before we played our first SML game, we played one EGL tournament, I think, and then we had a few scrim sessions before that. But competitive is a lot different to scrims, especially on a new team, like where only 2 of the players are used to playing with each other. I feel in going into the second half of the split, the reason we got better was because of Genetics, Death Panther, and I's synergy kind of came together, and we kind of allow each other to play from each other and like make plays in a 3v3 scenario.
Okay, I'm trying to think back. You've played with Death Panther before, right?
I'm
trying to think.
Briefly. We never played properly.
Okay.
For a while. Because he joined Elevate after I had already.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I think back to Elevate, and I associate you with that squad so much. But you had gone up from that squad. That's what, right?
Yeah.
Man, it's so hard. Like some of these, like this in so many seasons, they all start to like blur together, and you're like, oh wait, did he play with that squad or did he play this other squad? But how?
Squads.
Yeah. So how has jungler, very important role, especially this season. It really feels like that 3v3 fight has taken on like a really new important meaning in Smite. So your support, your jungle, and your mid. How has that synergy between Genetics and Death Panther kind of grown over the course of the year? Have you guys been playing games, casually to kind of improve that, or has it just been, as a team, you growing through scrims and things like that?
Mainly just scrims. I mean, Death Panther and I play some like CS:GO together with some other friends, but other than that, like it's just scrims and occasional ranked games. It just feels like we've all clicked together pretty well. Obviously, those two played in Signum for the whole,
Mhm.
so they kind of already had that synergy. It was more just adapting me into their play.
How have you felt? I mean, so obviously, last year you in the SPL, so this year in the SML. Has there been like a big difference in competition for you, or has the SML? I mean, EU SML has been pretty stacked. We looked at it at the beginning of the year and it was like, wow, this is a lot of talented players. Is it? I can imagine it's not quite SPL, but is this like a real? Has the competition been really stiff so far?
It's definitely a drop down from playing against like the best players in the world theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel with the changes, a lot of the good players also drop down. Like Pretty Prime, Frostiak, Dimmy, all playing SMO as well. Maniac obviously playing with us. So I feel like the competition is not great, and I feel like a lot of our games we won comfortably. But I feel heading into the next split, especially without Cold getting used to their support again, it'll be a lot harder, especially with Worlds on the line and Worlds qualifications and yada yada.
Was there any point in the season where you were kind of questioning on whether or not you guys would be able to qualify for this MSI event, or were you guys all pretty confident that you would figure it out, put it all together?
I think after the week break we had, the bye week between the start of the first and second part of the split, we were 3-3 and we were tied second with Queso, I think. Maybe behind on win-loss. But I think everyone was comfortable knowing that going into the second one we'd qualify. It was just whether we'd qualify first or second, because I think Flashpoint were 5-1 by that point. So it relied on us beating them both times and like winning the rest of our games basically, which we did.
Yeah, and I mean it's Flashpoint, right? And so that team, historically, every time it gets to crunch time, they kind of stumble and forget how to play the game a little bit. And I think this is the first time where they've been ahead in points and everything, and they still qualify for whatever they were trying to qualify for. So good on them. Last year they lost out to Insignum in the last couple splits. So
yeah. I mean, last year was because Johnny was on a skill trip or something, and they had, I think they had Fisher sub in, and that was literally qualifications for the Worlds playing, and obviously they didn't have their full roster for that, and that obviously affects them.
Yeah, so unfortunate for them, but they finally do qualify. Looking ahead at the teams at MSI, obviously you're going to be seeing, Flashpoint's going to be there, but then across the pond you've got the NASML teams, and then we've got I think the biggest question that I have, like the most interesting side of it, is these console teams that are going to be playing. A lot of people are looking at them like, oh, they're just console teams. Do you think that these Hype Unit or rival console could look to take any games off of anybody?
I feel like they have potential to take games off. I think maybe all of them aside from the Outcode EU PS4 team, but I think a lot of their win-loss ratios on these console teams are misleading based on the level of competition they have in their respective region and console. Like the team we play, Nemesis, were 11-0, I think, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't any other good PS4 team in NA.
Right.
So it's somewhat misleading, but it's kind of whoever shows up on the day and brings like the better strats and makes the better meta.
Do you think I really think it's interesting the fact that the console players, when they get to LAN, they have the choice of choosing between a keyboard and mouse or console or a controller. Do you think that'll even make a difference with some of these players, or because they got here based off of a controller, what good are they going to be on the mouse and keyboard?
I think like I said from the start when they said that that would be an option for the console teams, that it was wrong in my opinion,
Mhm.
because they're playing on controller in their own league. What's the point in them having their own league if they're allowed to just show up to LAN and play with a keyboard and mouse?
Right.
Like, statistically, keyboard and mouse is better to play on than controller for Smite, just because of ease of movement and fluidity of the gameplay. But I know a lot of the players will be playing keyboard and mouse just because a lot of the console players, especially when you look to rival, I'm pretty sure the PS4 teams as well, like the EU team at least, are all the old PC players, so
Right.
they'll definitely use that, I think.
Are there any teams for the first phase of MSI? The play-in, I think is what they're calling it, or whatever. Is there any team in particular you're looking forward to having a crack at?
I guess our side of the bracket's easier than the other side. The other side will have Flashpoint and Armada play against each other. I'm really interested to see who comes out from that side of the bracket, and who we should be playing in the final and the seeding for it. I don't think I'll be very disappointed if we drop out early.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, probably whoever we play out of those two, basically.
Do you have a preference between Flashpoint or Armada?
I mean, I'd say Flashpoint because their track record's pretty good at them. We did try scrimming Armada, but obviously ping's
Right.
horrible, and no one wants to play on 100+ ping every game, especially at our level.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to play them, I think, as well.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people are looking at you and Armada, as the number one seeds coming into this event, with so many, former SPL players and whatnot, looking at you guys as, the guys who are going to make it into the second phase of MSI. I mean, your squad especially, too, is comprised, I think everybody in there has been a part of the SPL in some way, shape, or form. Do you think going back and having that experience and being back on a LAN together, do you guys feel like you can make some noise and be like a dark horse for that second phase of the MSI?
I feel like Flashpoint are being valued over us in regards to like qualifying. At least that's what it's felt like. Like everyone's like, "Oh, Flashpoint are going to qualify," and no one's really mentioned like what team from the top side bracket, which I kind of like, because I never like being the favorites to win. I always like being the underdog, and I feel it's a lot better when you win from that side, because you can be like, "Well, you should have rated us." Like,
can I ask you, when in your entire Smite career you've been the one rated over anybody? When have you not been the underdog?
Exactly. And I like that. Like, I prefer it that way, because there's less pressure to perform, and which means you just instantly play better, because you're not, if you lose, you lose, and if you win, it's a huge upset apparently.
Yeah.
But I hope we finish first from the seeding in the lower end, because I'd much rather prefer to play Dig over Rival right now, at least. I feel like we'd have a decent chance against them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be nice to be back on LAN, and it'll be Streak Up's first time on LAN. So interesting to see if he'll play as well as he does in scrims and regular season.
Yeah, that'll be really, and your very own rookie. See what he can do. I'm looking forward to it. Is there, obviously, it's the first time you're gonna be hanging out with all of the old pros and everything. Are you looking forward to seeing everybody again at the event?
Yeah, it's obviously nice to see your old friends, old teammates. Some of them won't be there because they've had to come back to EU. They're visiting family and friends before the second split starts. But I know a lot of them are still there, and it'll be nice to catch up.
Yeah. So I'm wishing you guys the best of luck moving forward for MSI. You at least have one person who's kind of rating you at the top in me. I'm looking at you guys and I see a lot of talent. I mean, you got Maniac and Solo, and I don't see how people, I don't understand how people are rating him so low at a LAN event when he has been consistently one of the strongest solos ever to play at those events. And then, I mean, I think you've been hitting it really well the last, the end of the split. I think you were a big part of the team wins. And then, Death Panther's going to play as Hunters because that's all he can play. It'll be fun to watch. So when do you guys switch over to Double Hunter, Triple Guardian? Because every squad Death Panther's ever been on switches to that comp at some point. You guys going to bring that out in the bag for MSI?
I think that's more the Cherio effect than the Death Panther effect. Cherio just comes in and he goes, right, we're playing this because it wins games, and they just roll with it. I prefer not to play Guardians. I prefer to be not carry, but bring like the CC and Assassins as opposed to I'm a tank, I'm going to soak up damage. Because I kind of pride myself in my mechanical skill, so I feel it's wasted in Guardian.
All right. Well, I hope to see some of those mechanical skills go to use in this tournament. I think that's really all the questions I got. Do you have anything you want to say? Any shout outs you want to give, or anything you want to say to the people at home?
Just general shout out to the org and to the team, and hopefully we can put on a good show at MSI and potentially go pretty far in it. We saw the Paladins minor team win the PCI event last week or a couple of days ago, so maybe it's written. Maybe Hinduman's written it in the script, so we'll have to wait and see. You and
Armada both. You guys got the pro talent on the rosters there. Obviously, Armada would be a little bit higher rated if they still had Baskin, but SoloOrTroll's not bad. But,
true. It's not bad at all.
So, best of luck, and can't wait to see what you guys do. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
All right. And either on to the next interview or back to the live show. I don't know when this airs. So, goodbye, maybe? And joining us for this next interview, we have the coach for Splice and solo laner extraordinaire. We've got Cabom. How you doing?
Yo, how's it go?
It's going okay. It's you sound a little sick. You all right there, man?
I am definitely a little congested. I don't know what this is all about, but it's the way it goes sometimes.
So this is the day after 4th of July. Did you party a little too hard last night?
Had some fun, but not too much, I'd say.
All right. Well, glad you guys can have like some. You have that kind of moment to blow off some steam before MSI kicks off here in this next week. I know a lot of teams are just like super nose to the ground and grinding and everything like that. So the fact that you can relax a little bit is good for you guys. So it's been a wild year for you guys. Last time we talked, you were fresh off the the World Championship, and then here we are now, several months later, and it's not even the same team anymore. It's been a wild ride. Like how has that been for you, managing being through this team thick and thin?
Oh man, it's been I don't remember. Do you swear on these? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, you go fucking crazy.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's been a fucking disaster. I don't know. I mean, it worked out for the best in the end, obviously, but it's been like a 2-month process of just an absolute shit show.
Yeah, and it's still not over yet.
We're here now.
You still gotta find a new solo laner, right? Like, cause Baskin's leaving. Like, whew.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, after everything else has happened, that's like the biggest whatever. Honestly, like, well, I'll deal with it when we get there.
Yeah, it's funny, like, right, like replacing Baskin, whatever. Like we've done so much to get here at this point. Like who cares about that guy?
Yeah, I mean Baskin's been awesome, so I can't he came on last minute and he kind of slammed for our whole season's worth of games basically.
Yeah,
in like a week. So can't complain about anything that happened there. We basically got our dream scenario. Turns
out Baskin still good at solo lane. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But you did, however, you stood in pretty admirably against PK. The legendary Kuzumbo, the respect band Kuzumbo.
Yeah.
How did it feel? I mean, as a former pro player turned coach and then being able to get back in and play a game and then win that first game, like you don't win the set, but you get the one win. Does that feel pretty good? Just to yeah.
I think if we won game 4, because we were actually in a really good spot to win game 4. We like team wiped them, and then we like ran to fire to try and force it. But if we waited, Cyclone was 200 gold off Poison Star, so if we just warded and then fought again, we would have won. But we didn't, and then we lost.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was fun. I didn't expect to go in and win a game or anything, but I knew if we were going to win a game, it was going to be because I was Kuzumbo and I made someone kill themselves, and that was the way it was going to be, and that's how it went.
Yeah, you turned a lot of heads. I mean, that was like that. I mean, you single-handedly made me like very unsure with PK again. Like I was like, okay, they figured themselves out, and they lost to Cabom in solo lane.
Yeah, my team's just very, very good. As long as I didn't like super feed, we could win. Then they started picking Osiris, and I don't know what the fuck to do against Osiris.
Does anybody know what to do against Osiris? He just presses W at you.
If you ask any solo laner, dude, they all say that he's busted as shit. But then if you ask them if they want to play him, they say no, he sucks. It's like awesome.
Yeah, I deal with that all the time. It's very frustrating. It's like, oh, this god's busted. All right, we're gonna play that guy. It's like, no, that guy sucks. I don't want to play him. It's so Or the worst one for me is when you're asking a player to play a god that's like busted. Like, no, that god's brain dead. I don't want to go to sleep in lane for 30 minutes. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean? We want to win.
No, I'm like, yeah, maybe we practice this today, and they're like, no, no, we don't do that today. I'm like, awesome, cool.
So watching the team, it's been really high highs and some low lows, obviously with all the like the turnover and everything. One thing that I've really noticed, and what I've been kind of saying on my own, has been Cyclone has looked like he's playing the best smite of his entire career in that ADC role just this year. Like, I know he had a monster run with Worlds, but have you seen like an even improvement on his play from there? Like from here, it looks like Cyclone is just doing whatever he wants and nobody can stop him.
Yeah, I mean, Cyclone's always getting better. He's very good at like figuring out what's good and how to play it the best. And then he also like, as a hunter player, he has like no fear, which like, if you watch the SPL, a lot of hunters play like kind of scared to die, and that is not how Cyclone plays. Cyclone won't rotate to something if he thinks it's bad, but that's not like, if he rotates, he's going to go there and he's going to pop you in the face and you're going to deal with it. Like, I don't know. He's just very good at knowing where to be, when to be there, and what to do. So, and whenever he's in a fight, like it's so different. Like, obviously our team's good wherever you go, but if Cyclone's in the fight, our team gets like a buff because they know Cyclone's going to kill them, so they try harder. I don't know how to explain it. It's the same with Baskin too. When Baskin rotates, everyone's like, "Oh, Baskin said we can do this, so we will do it." Like, I don't know.
Just the confidence that he instills, like, "Oh, Baskin said it. It's got to be true, right?"
Yeah, we just have two like absurd side lanes that if they show up, we're like, "Yes, we can do this." Very good.
It's a good life to have, right? Like, a lot of people just ignore side lanes, but no, I like the buck and the trend. Like, no, we play through our side lanes here. All right. Screw the 3v3. We're playing through the side lanes.
Yeah, our side lanes are quite good.
Looking ahead towards MSI, you guys, got in there, found your wins. Baskin clawing the team back like from the early portion of the year, and then everybody looking really good, honestly. Before Baskin kind of came on, was there any worry that you wouldn't qualify for the MSI?
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing about MSI this year is it was top 6 or whatever, so it was like, I don't know, it's not that hard. It was just we were in a bad position because even though like we played against rival and we won with a sub. Like, we won a game. We should have won 2 games, I'm pretty sure, if I remember that set correctly. Or we were in a position. I hate saying we should have won, but we were in a position where we could have won 2 games, at least. And then Dig, I am of the opinion that we should have probably won a game or won that set because We just got unlucky in not understanding how to play around fire, and it was turning at 25 minutes, which was dumb. So after we got that figured out, we were better, but then our team dissolved. So, you know.
Yeah. Would you say
But,
that like for the start of the year, I mean, like, you know, focusing on like the Dig game, would you say that like Dig was like a fake #1 team because they were going to a bunch of best of fives and they were getting stuff like, you know, enhanced fire giants going their way and finding their wins, you know, late in the games like that, and you know, very quickly towards the end of the year, you know, they dropped a set to Renegades and then they dropped the next set they play. Is that more a case of them finally getting figured out, or, you know, is this, you know, Dig has been the same team all along?
I mean, this is just like my opinion, obviously. But like Dig's like a super strong team. I think they actually every year that team shoots themselves in the foot, kind of, because they are always so dominant at the start, and they have like a lot of good stuff figured out. And the problem is with the way that Smite ends up getting bounced most of the time is like whatever nail is sticking out of the board, the highest gets like slammed down, right? So like whatever Dig is running that's super good, like is always going to get adjusted. So like they were very good at picking comps that like could survive to 25 minutes and then they'd stall you and then they had super late game. And everyone was like, yeah, that is kind of bullshit. And I think realistically, like it was bullshit, but it was also probably the best way to play, right? Like if you could guarantee get your team to 25 minutes, that's not a huge ask. Like don't be 10,000 gold down at 25 minutes. Like if somebody asks you to do that, I'm pretty sure that's pretty easy to execute on. I mean, that's like securing one side of your buffs and not giving up like 3 gold furies by 25 minutes and you should be okay. So, but yeah, I think they're always very dominant at the start. I feel like they don't have a lot of people they can learn anything from because they're so far ahead of the game. And then people just like things change and people pick up on the things that changed. And then, you know, Dig is still what they were before, right? Like,
yeah. So
I think they just are. They are victims of the balancing process, is what I would say.
They're the inverse
Because
SSG.
What about SSG? Sorry, you've been cutting out a little bit.
Sorry, they're the inverse SSG. SSG doesn't have anything figured out, and then they figure it out and can play the game. Whereas Dig, figures it all out.
I don't know if I would describe it. Yeah, Dig's just like they're very, very good at getting footing, but I think it's when people get a big chance to catch up with changes and stuff, and then like everyone's on even ground. I think Dig's just better when they have a lead on like information and knowledge, and then when they're even, like Dig ends up playing like the SSG of old, where like they never really force you to do anything. They just kind of hang out, and then they try to beat you in team fights late game.
Right.
And that's just not necessarily consistent. There are probably a few comps they run that are like, you know, 70-80% win rate, but if the other team figures out what comp you're running that has that success rate and they just ban away parts of it that are integral to it, then, you know, you kind of are coin tossing, because late game team fights in Smite, like, you know, what if like your mage accidentally sneezes and it blows up 2 people? Like, I don't know. What are you gonna do? Like,
Right.
That's not something that's always in your control, and people get impatient too. That's the one thing I would say though. Dig's really good at being patient about like running in and like defending fires and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been like the hallmark of like the Splice team too, right? Has been, you know, force the clown fiesta if things are going, you know, not your way. Be patient, and then, you know, if you have to sacrifice Aurora, you sacrifice Aurora, and
Yes.
you try to figure it out on the back end. You know,
Yeah.
you can there's a really stark difference, I feel like, right now, even in the top end, of teams that can sit down and sit back and be patient, and then teams that, you know, kind of just like, oh, they get ahead of themselves and get impatient. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you have adapting, you know, blink past everybody and kill the mid laner and then snowball, you know, a victory out of nowhere. And other times it's adapting, blinking, Hebo, missing everything, and then getting team wiped. You know, it's the tale of 2 adaptings, right?
Yeah, and I guess like to summarize the point about Dig 2, I do think that they were not a false like first seed, by the way. I do think that they are not the hardest team to play against, but I don't think you can deny that they won like the most games up until whatever rival secured first, right? I'm not losing my mind on that. But like they were definitely like, they are that good. It's just that they aren't the hardest to play against, because like you have teams like Rival and like PK that are more versatile in their draft and willing to like slam you early and also take it to late game. Whereas like Dignitas, you can be pretty sure that you're always going to go to a late game.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's easier to plan for Dig, but that doesn't make them worse necessarily. You just know what you're getting into every game with them.
That makes sense. Yeah. Looking at MSI, God, I keep saying looking at. Like, you ever like catch yourself when you're saying something over and over again? God,
Yeah.
Lord. Turning our attention to MSI. This will be the first time we're seeing, publicly, in competitive play, the console kids getting, a crack at the PC players on, I guess, even footing or not even footing. I don't know how to really say that. We had, PC players go down and, beat the snot out of console, when it first got. But this will be, console players on, on their home turf versus PC on their home turf. Do you think we're going to see any real competitive matches in those, or do you think it's going to be pretty PC dominant?
The only team that I actually know anything about is the one that Bobby's on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're pretty nuts, right? As far as like their scene's concerned.
Yeah, they've got like, I think the consensus is that their Soul Laner Wolves is like the best console player to ever play the game. And
Yeah.
like everyone begs him to go to PC and he won't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how good they're gonna do because I think most of them are playing on mouse and keyboard when they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on if they're all like practiced and good at mouse and keyboard. But I can't see any reason why they wouldn't like do stuff. Do I think they're gonna win everything? Probably not. But like, I can't imagine them like failing to play spoiler in some regard. I know for sure that I wouldn't want to be whatever PC team that loses to them if one does, because
I mean,
I don't know.
Weekend's not here to give a region or team or whatever their first win in competitive play, right? So
poor Kurt Trey.
So they're gonna lose, is what I'm hearing.
Listen, I don't, whoever does it, I don't know. I feel bad.
What do you feel about the console players coming to LAN and being able to use the mouse and keyboard versus the controller? I know some people find it pretty contentious and it's like it doesn't make a lot of sense to them.
I think it's fair. I mean, no matter how good you are on controller, like it has its limitations, right? Like I think it's fair to offer them the choice. I do think that it might feel a little disingenuous for like if you are an Xbox diehard fan or whatever, and you see your favorite professional Xbox player playing on mouse and keyboard, that's like admitting that like the functionality of the controller is worse than the mouse and keyboard. But I think the people that are upset about that should just be happy about the player and not the device they're using, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think if you're like an Xbox purist, it probably feels pretty bad. But if you're like any other human being on planet Earth that likes Smite and like happy that they get the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I actually got to witness at the like start of the year when I was like doing the coach tryout carousel. I got to watch PC SML versus console scrims, and was really interesting. I won't say the teams who were involved, but the console solo laner soloed the PC solo laner on cooldown, and it was an eye-opening experience for me. They ended up losing because the ADC for console can't hit anything, but other than that, it was really solid.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, like it's just like the thing about pro play too is that a lot of people are used to playing against the people they're used to playing against, right? Like, so the advantage of like being like a professional caliber player, even if it's on like a different thing, is like people don't know necessarily. Like none of the PC players are gonna have any fucking clue what the console players do. To be clear, like I am almost 100% sure no PC player watches the console league ever.
Yeah.
So whatever they come in doing, no one's gonna know.
The only person that would be Aurora, because Aurora watches and sees and knows everything.
Yes.
You'd be the only person, like off the top of my head, would be like,
yeah, exactly. I think there is advantage in that, and like it's not like they're like shit players, right? Like
Right.
they're obviously very good, even though like I don't know, a lot of Smite players have a habit of like, oh, this person in the 0.001 percentile is shit because they aren't in the 0.00001 percentile. Like, you know, like it's like overly excessive critique
Hmm.
that doesn't get anyone anywhere most of the time.
So that's the first day of matches. We've got, you know, console and SML kind of playing each other. I think a lot of the consensus too is that, you know, we're going to see Armada pull through with all the talent that they have, and then, you know, on the other side of the bracket, it's, you know, simplicity. You know, the SPL talent, right? That didn't come to the SPL is probably who we're seeing. So if we take that and that's true, you know, do you think they have any chance to play spoiler? I mean, they got to play what, Rival and Dig first up. Do you think they could do anything against those teams?
Well, like I was saying earlier, I think in the case of Dig, those like, do you know which team like on the bracket is on the side of Dig? Is it like the Armada lineup, or are they
I
going
do
towards
know.
Rival?
1 second, I've got the bracket breakdown here. It should be. Oh man, maybe I don't have it. Maybe I just lied to you. Boldface. No, I have it. Okay, so it should be Rival is placement number 2 team. So say Armada wins it all for the first day, Armada would be playing Dig, and Rival would be playing Simplicity.
Okay. Yeah, I think whichever team goes up against Dig probably has more ample opportunity to win the set than whatever team goes against Rival.
Mhm.
That's not to say it's just like the way that Dig wins, right? It's just it always goes late game. So as long as like Dig's firing on like the same cylinders, you know, Kivo's still playing the game that he usually plays, and Trix is still playing the game he usually plays. I have faith in the other 3 to show up and do what they normally do. I think that Dig probably wins, but Land's always a different beast, and the fact that they always go late game means that anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I would still put, like, if you were asking me to like bet $100, I would still bet for Dig every day.
Yeah, I think that's, you know,
But
the
I think whatever
money,
team
right?
goes, yeah, whatever team goes against Rival, I think is going to get pounded into the ground.
I mean, that's fair to say. Rival's just, I think Rival's like the most complete Smite team right now, and that it's really wild to watch those guys play.
Yeah, the only way, like, if Rival's trying to be stingy about like what they think is good or whatever, and they pick just some absurd garbage, like if FineOK finds himself on Artemis support again or something, like maybe they drop a game. I don't know, or Artemis solo, sorry, but it like there's I would argue that there is a bigger chance that the entire world spontaneously combusts than Rival loses this set.
Okay.
So
looking at the other matches of the day too, you know, the outside of the SML or you know, console league guys who come up, you know, the 2 biggest teams that like potentially play spoiler would be Renegades and United. You obviously play up against United, who's you know, hot off their wins with Dig and everything, coming, you know, Imolito carrying that team to victory. I guess I'm not going to ask you too much, but on that front, I guess we'll focus on the Knights Renegades. Do you think Renegades are going to re-find that fire and that, you know, whatever they had to start their like season off with again, or are they going to be fish food for Pittsburgh Knights?
I think you'll be surprised. Renegades had a pretty rough hand coming in, right? Like they got into the SPL pretty late, and then they had to play a lot of their games in a row. So like they played against, what did they play against? They played against Trifecta and SK to start. And Trifecta, like, obviously Renegades were going to win that set. And then SK is a tricky team because some days they're absolutely absurd and other days they are abysmal. And so like Renegades got to sort of take advantage of the fact that you know, Renegades looked like they were kind of struggling with Trifecta, so SK goes in with a lot of confidence. And if a team like that comes in with a lot of confidence and they lose their first game, they guys start second guessing themselves, and then it's like a spiral, right? And then after that, they had to play like better teams. They had to open up with what they thought was good because they couldn't afford to lose games, right? And they got stuck in this cycle of they had to play like all of their games in a row, and they didn't have a good grasp on what they wanted to do or their identity as a team. So they were sort of like they had some picks that they were playing that weren't very good, and they didn't have time to make adjustments, right? Like people, like it's hard to get scrims when you're playing every team in a week. Like we had one week where we couldn't scrim like 4 or 5 of the SPL teams, and like we like what could we do? You know what I mean? Like, and like they had that every week. So like I think with the extra month, they're gonna come out and they have a more established style that they like playing. You know, maybe they'll do stuff that other people will find weird or bad, but I think the unique thing about Renegades is that they're willing to just say whatever and do what they want to do. Whether or not it's good or not will come down to like how they execute.
Poseidon MVP is gonna be Poseidon ADC is gonna be the MVP of the tournament. I'm calling it now.
Maybe, who knows? But I think that if PK, for whatever reason, is taking Renegades with the same sort of mindset that they went against us when I was, because they were trying to win against us, obviously, but when I'm there, like they're not going to ever play at 100, right? Like no matter what, because it's not like how can you take it seriously? It's like the other team has a sub. So if they play like that against Renegades, I think it'll be probably a 5-game set. I don't know who would win it, but if PK plays like the way that we know that they can play, they'll probably win like 3-1.
All right. I can't, you know, I think a lot of it does hinge on, for both sides, which team shows up. You know, Pittsburgh has like looked very cohesive, and the exact opposite, you know, depending on the game, the set, whatever. And then Renegades has looked like they are very competent at Smite, and then also very, very not competent at Smite. It's a very fine line to walk between both of those teams. Looking forward to that. Also,
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was going to transition away, so I'll let you have the final thought here.
Yeah, Renegades just have a lot of like factors that you can't say like. How is Raffer gonna do this game? How is Funball gonna do this game? How is fucking Dardes gonna do this game? Like I think those 3 players, like you can never go into a game or a set and be like, yeah, these guys are really gonna, you know, have this crazy KDA or they're gonna really shit the bed or something. You never know what they're gonna do. Whereas like the only person on Pittsburgh Knights that I ever am unsure of is like their performance is like Zeros. I never know how Zeros is gonna do. But you know, I always know Adapting's gonna slap. I always know Emilzy's gonna be annoying. I always know Deathwalker is gonna, you know, run around and do shit. Like, there's no question marks there ever. Zeros is the only one. Whereas Renegades, you're like on any given day, you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen today.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to sum it up. Then, you know, looking at the other match that we know is gonna happen, Splice and E United. You know, you guys. Really, the last half of the year, the last half of the first split, really hunkered down, tore through everybody, and then E United on the other side made their roster swap away from Vedium into Imelidu, and you know didn't find immediate success, but had decent showings, and then they come back and in their season strong, beating Dig. What are kind of your thoughts on United? Obviously trying to ask more broad questions on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. United, since they got Emilito, I think they lost more games than they won. I feel like they lost the identity of the team a little bit. What I liked about United when they first had the roster was that nobody on the squad was a superstar, and they all could play through each other. And I think adding Emilito, adding the superstar to your squad, you inevitably play through him. And I think that fundamentally changed the identity of a team, and it made them worse in the short term. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about them. I know that they had like a really hard time getting scrims or whatever for a while, and I think they had a coach, but they don't have a coach anymore. Yeah, I don't know. United's weird. I think that out of everyone at MSI, I'd probably put them at the like lowest chance to win it all, but they still obviously could.
Mm-hmm.
It just sort of depends on what they do with their month to improve and adapt and stuff. But I feel like the only team I've seen where like obviously we had that dreadful game 3 where we ended up turning it around, but they had like a 20k lead or something, and they were just like they're kind of scared, it seems like, to do stuff, which is weird.
Yeah.
With the people they have on their team, because like Ice is a beast, you know, Big Man's a beast, Benji's an animal, Emily, like they're all animals.
Yeah.
And Collis, like, you know, he hits all his CC all the time, and he's pretty good about like not standing somewhere where he's just gonna get obliterated in the SPL games, at least. I don't know about scrims or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. If they find their stride, they could be really sick. I think they just there might just be something where like people don't agree with what's good, or there are people on the team that just aren't sure if they know what they like yet or something. That's just what it feels like. It doesn't feel like when they play whatever the picks are that are considered like meta or whatever. Like in our set or whatever, he played a lot of Jingwei, and that god's obviously pretty good.
Okay.
And he just didn't look very like. He didn't look like he liked playing the god. He played it fine or whatever, but like.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You can always tell when somebody like likes the character they're playing, you know, like they go above and beyond. Whereas like Emilito was like playing your typical SPL Jingwei, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I got 3 last questions for you. First question:
Sure.
Who, if anybody, are you looking forward to maybe playing the most at MSI?
I think
yeah.
if we beat E United, I'm pretty sure we play against Rival, and I think that would be the most interesting set for us. I don't know if it'll be the most interesting set of the tournament, but it'd be nice to be able to play Rival with like our quote unquote full roster. Yeah, I think the Rival set would be the best set to see.
Okay. Question number 2 is, who do you think has the best shot of winning MSI?
The best shot at winning?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't say us, I'll just take us out of the equation. Probably Rival.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay.
Rival is the most versatile and most likely.
They got that target on their back. You know, they're coming in with a lot of expectations, but you know, who knows? They could united it at Worlds last year. You know.
No one could united. That's the only team in the world that could have done what United did.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And then question number 3: are we finally going to see the Loki Cabrakan duo lane?
No, that's shelved. I'm afraid that's shelved.
Oh, come on, the world needs to see it.
Yeah, they massacred that character, so I'm afraid that one's gonna have to stay on the shelf.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Cabom. Actually, last thing, is there anything you want to say? Any shout outs you want to give? You know, anything that we didn't cover throughout the course of this interview?
No, I think I covered just about everything. Obviously, shout outs to my team, Cyclone and Aurora especially, for sticking through it. Shout outs to the new guys, they're doing good stuff. Shout outs to Baskin for fixing our split. And yeah, I think that covers it.
Okay, actually, last question. From, you know, this is from Twitter from forever ago. When are we gonna get Munch a jersey? When does he get his Splice jersey?
I don't know. I keep asking and it falls on deaf ears. He's waiting, dude. He wants to be.
He's a vital member
out.
of the team.
I know. He's good. Right? You're a good boy.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Come on. Best of luck for MSI. Really looking forward to seeing what you guys do. And, you know, obviously, you know, thinking it'll be Splice Rival. Really looking forward to that set. You know, could be set of the entire tournament for all all we know.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
All right. I'll
right, well,
see
thanks for
you
having me.
around, man.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our next interview, or our first interview, or the last interview. I don't know what order these are airing in, but we've got, our first of the day. Well, first I'm doing, I don't know. Time continuity is hard. We've got layers from Hype Unit and the console community. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. On no sleep currently, but could be worse.
I mean, I figure that's just like a constant state for the console kids, right? Is that
For most of my kids
Yeah.
don't even get sleep for matches and stuff like that. So rough.
with like the box community, like it's always been the box kids. It's always box kids. Is
It's
that
always been the box.
is that like offensive though? Like, because it's like the kids portion of it, right? You guys are grown ass men now. You guys have evolved.
Yeah, we're growing up, so yeah. So it's gonna be box men now.
The
so it's not
box
gonna
men.
sound as
All
good.
right.
The box men, yeah. So it's gonna be like more proper, I guess, for sure.
I think it does have to be. I mean, you guys have been around for
A while, yeah.
3 seasons now, right? 3?
Probably longer. I've been around for like 4 or 5, so I'm considered an old man now. So
Has console been around that long?
I've been playing Smite for longer than console. I actually started on PC and then my PC broke down, so I had to transfer. Well, I didn't want to like go out and buy like a new PC because I had an Xbox in hand, so I just figured that I'd play on box. So, and they had a league out of nowhere. It got released, so I decided to test my my might, I guess, on Battleground.
Now here you are, going to LAN, number 1 seeded team.
Yeah.
And this is like Hype Unit's like a super team for the box community, like in a box, right? Like it's
probably, I'd say, by far the best team on console. We've won like mostly like every LAN except like Worlds of like 2018. We won the last year's Worlds, but with the previous, like the year before last year, so we lost that one, and then that was like I'm pretty sure the last one. Actually, no, we lost that spring LAN as well, but we've won everything since. So yeah,
because this roster is a continuation of Astral in a lot of ways.
Astral, Astral. We had some problems and some internal problems, and unfortunately, we could not stick together anymore or any longer. So we had to shake up the roster a little bit and bring in some fresh talent like Griff and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
and then Bobby came outside of Astral, right? Too. Then he was with
from Myth. Yeah.
Yeah, he was with Jumpa and they won Worlds, right?
They won Worlds, and then they split up because they were having internal problems as well. It's just they were having like beef with each other. Like I guess they didn't like personally. They saw the game like at a different. They both had different views on the game, so they didn't like really mesh as well. And over time, it kind of like decayed. This situation decayed and it got worse. So
this Hype Unit team is just a super group, right? All the best pieces of the last 3 world champions for the box community.
Yeah, we are considered a super team for console. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely a lot of pressure on you guys moving forward, but I feel like a lot of people. I feel like you guys have a lot of pressure for console, right? Like you guys are about to go in, be the first teams to play against PC on your own footing if you want. I guess I don't know.
I don't really think there's pressure per se. I feel like we're the underdog, so if anything, the pressure's on the PC teams to perform. I feel like we can, as long as we play our own game, we can definitely upset some PC teams for sure.
I don't know. I feel like that does create the pressure though, because you guys are very like obviously the underdogs. Everyone's like, oh, it's the box community. They can't play Smite for real. They're not real Smite people. We're just gonna steamroll them, right?
The people, like generally they base us off like Gucci or like whoever, like the Twitch streamers that are like really bad at the game. So that's what they see, and then they base us off that. So they don't really ever watch the game or see how we play, so they don't really know. And most like average viewer doesn't really know like what's going on in the game. They kind of just look at the score line and they're like, oh, this guy's not doing that well, but like in reality he's actually like setting up, but he's just getting killed and he's setting his team up for success, that kind of stuff.
I mean, with you guys being a super team, so you other teams dissolved and you guys picked up some of the best pieces, and then you had other people, jump ship from Xbox to go to PS4, right?
Yeah, I don't
And
know why that was. I think most of it is because they weren't confident in their ability to beat us. They wasn't guaranteed that they would beat us, so they wanted to go to PS4 and have a guaranteed spot. Because I'm not trying to bust any balls, but the PC or the PS4 competition is very, very what's the word? It's not as strong as Xbox competition is. So
it's where
it's
you guys
definitely
were
easier
3-4
for
years
sure.
ago. It's just it hasn't had the
Yeah,
time to
it
mature
hasn't
and
had
develop.
time to mature and develop. Yeah, it's fresh scene, so they can kind of like not really abuse the system. They can kind of just like take advantage of it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it 100% does.
Since there's no really rules for them switching over. It's not like against the rules or anything. So
you've been in the console scene for a bit. You guys went undefeated this first phase, correct?
we lost only one game. We lost 2 games, but the one game that we did, we lost one game, and the other set was a DQ. So I don't really consider that a loss because we didn't show up, but it's there. So we went, I would say 9-1, I think, or something like that, 8-1. But in reality we went 7-2 because we had a DQ, unfortunately, because one of our players was not awake. So, or 2 of our players actually wasn't awake, so we couldn't even use our sub.
That's
so it was
the
really
worst.
rough.
Oof. But I feel like every year we kind of see console teams rise up. I mean, obviously Astral before that was. Did you guys run the gambit? Like you guys won every LAN, every event for like a year?
We won 3 LANs straight, and we lost Worlds to Myth. So we won the Spring LAN, we won the Summer LAN in Valencia, and we won the fall, like the qualifiers for Worlds. We came in first for that too, but we lost Worlds. Unfortunately. So we went 3 for 4. So it's not too bad, right?
Yeah, and then those last roster you guys won Worlds with Chapo, right? Did you guys?
Yeah, we picked up Chapo because Bobby got an offer to PC, and Chapo hit us up and he said that he would be willing to play support for us.
Did you guys also run? Because I didn't follow you guys as much last year. I followed you like as Astral was like winning every LAN, and then losing to Myth. Like that whole year was just like really cool storyline wise. But this last year I didn't quite follow. Did you guys run the same gamut of winning LANs, or was it just more you guys had the right timing for Worlds run?
We should have won. I think we would have won on every LAN. We kind of choked in spring. We beat Rival the day before, and that's when they like introduced the what's it called? Double elimination, I think it was, where you have to like beat a team, or a team has to lose twice to fall out, because like you'll fall into like losers bracket or whatever.
Right.
So we beat them the first day. They fell in a losers bracket. They made a lower bracket run, and they ended up beating us in finals in spring, unfortunately. And then summer, it was actually the opposite. We lost to Rival the first day, and then we ended up doing a bracket run, and we went like 8-1. It was like that was like the longest Smite day I've ever played. It was like we played Smite for like I think 8 or 9 hours straight because we were there. We got there at 9 and we finished at like 5 or 6 p.m. So it was like really, really rough. We won that Summerland, and then we won Worlds obviously. So we didn't go undefeated, but we went 2-3. So it's still pretty good,
Yeah. One of the things that you look at that, and it's always like there's always a top team with console that's really making the biggest runs and everything. You've been a part of that. How has the competition this year been? I mean, obviously you guys make another run at the top where nobody's really touching you guys. Has competition grown? Has it regressed? Stayed the same?
I'd say with the addition of the PS4 League that it's regressed a tad bit, because the 3rd and 4th seed in the SCO were not really that great. Their team play wasn't really that great. The 2nd seeded team Heat, they were the only real competition that we had that whole split. So the competition definitely did regress because some of the players like Jumpa and like Covey and all those players went to PS4, so we never really had to play them. So for sure, it definitely did regress in my opinion.
Do you think that's going towards MSI? Do you guys think that impacts you, hurts you at all because you're not getting that like week in and week out competition?
Ever since they added crossplay, not so much because we could play PC teams. We've scrimmed like some minor league teams like Cryptic and Sanguine. And yeah, but it's during the split before they added crossplay, yes, it definitely did hurt because we would play like lackluster teams. We wouldn't play that like their team play was pretty weak, so like we never really like learned much because most games would just be a stomp because like we were individually better than most people, so on console at least.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you have scrimmed, some PC teams leading up to MSI. Have you guys been scrimming more of those minor league teams and everything like that to try to get prepared for LAN?
Yeah, we've been trying to. Cryptic, they didn't qualify for MSI unfortunately, so they kind of took a break, like a hiatus from scrimming because they had real life stuff going on. So we didn't really get a chance to scrim them for a bit. We just started scrimming them like a week ago. I think we just picked up with scrims again. So we played like I'd probably say like 3 or 4 scrims, and scrim blocks usually 2 to 3 games. So we played about like 9 or maybe like 6 to 9 games against them. So it's decent. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So we've learned a little bit from them. And then Sanguine, we learned a lot because I think Sanguine, the SML Sanguine team, I think they're the best team. Like they work so well together. Their synergy is like actually amazing. I feel like they can make a lot of noise when in MSI on the other side of the bracket because like just together they work so well. They mesh so well together.
Yeah.
And their mid jungle is really like individually they're very solid players. So
yeah, agree. The biggest
and Shinto, yeah.
The biggest thing with them though that's gonna suck is they're missing out on their soul and are going to MSI.
Oh yeah, Corey. That's you hate to see that because I think Flashpoint's missing their mid laner too, and I don't know.
I think they're missing
like
a couple people now. Because the last minute they didn't. They were supposed to have everybody visas, and then the last minute because of like the 4th of July or something like that, they didn't get their visas.
The holiday, I saw that, but
yeah.
I have like a competitive side to me that I want. If I'm gonna beat a team, I want to beat a team at its best. I don't want it to be a fluke,
Right.
And I don't know. Like I'm sad for them honestly because I wanted to play against them. I wanted to see how like where I stood against those kind of like the European teams because I know they work really well together.
In that first day, it's the other console teams. You got Rival, your EU counterpart. You've got Nemesis, which is the PS4 team, and then you've got all the SML teams for NA and EU. Is there any team in particular? Like obviously, you just said Sanguine is a team you like to play. Is there anybody that you would want to play more than the others?
I really wanted to play Flashpoint at full power. Like I wanted to play them like their full roster. Probably Simplicity, honestly.
Yeah.
I played against Sanguine. I haven't played against Armada. I think Armada is worse now because they're missing Baskin, obviously, because Baskin's like really, really good, like individual player. Same with Scream, both solid players. So they're missing that, and they got Masked and SoloOrTroll, and those guys aren't bad at all. They're definitely solid players, but I don't know like if any soul laner can really fill Baskin's shoes besides maybe like Variety or like the top end players, So Armada is definitely weaker, but they're still a good team. So honestly, any of the teams I would love to play, just to see like how because each team's different with what their picks are and what they like to run and how they like to play the map. So I would definitely like to play against every team to see like what they like to do.
Good answer. I like that. There's a lot, kind of storyline wise going on for the console guys. You guys are fine. I feel like this is the first like revenge opportunity from the Weekend and the boys, embarrassment that the box community suffered way back in the day. You guys, is that even like a thought in your guys' mind? You like, we want to come out, like we want to show everyone that we're for real, or are you just like taking this as a learning point? We're hoping that you get another chance down the road, but like this is you're focusing on you guys and your guys' improvement over everything else.
I wasn't really around when Weekend and them they like crossed. I think they like didn't they like drop down to Xbox and like won the Xbox World Championship like easily or whatever. At the time, the scene was like very weak. I'd say now if a PC team tried to do that they would get tossed on a controller, and that's just my opinion because over time we've became so much better, like individually and like working together like macro and like micro play, just like as a unit. So like, and playing on a controller it's not easy, especially now because the competition is super steep for just playing on a controller in general. It's just a lot harder in my opinion. Well, not for me because I've been playing on a controller all my life, but maybe for other people that try to pick it up, it's definitely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't really see that as like a revenge. I don't really have I don't really have any grudges or anything for them doing that because I don't know. I mean, they won fair and square. They came over and beat down on everybody, so it's not like we should have like a bad taste in our mouth or anything like that. They were just better players at the time, so and the box players were a lot worse, obviously. So
Yeah.
um,
So I know.
also, I don't really see this next LAN as sorry about that. I don't really see this next LAN as like a. I see it as a learning experience, but I also see it as I want to win as well.
Mhm.
Winning is definitely like my focus. I'm going to try to win it at any costs. So, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the heart of the competitor. I get it. You know, you guys have been where you guys have at. I mean, obviously too. Like we have to look at the context of like the team that you're on. This is a team of. I think everybody on the squad has won a Smite World Championship, right? At this point.
Yeah, everybody on the team has won it because Bobby won the previous world championship. So
Yeah.
We're all world champions for the
So
console
coming
side,
in
so.
from like a squad full of console world champions, into like not even like all on the same teams or anything like that. So this is the best foot forward you could possibly take. Is like, okay, where are we at compared to PC? Is the gap as big as everyone says? What are we going to be able to do? I'm very interested. I'm really looking forward to that. I look at you guys and I see, the ability is definitely there. I mean, look. Wolves is, I think, highly regarded as the best player in the console community. And from a lot of people say he could come into PC tomorrow and he would have some spots available to him. Just I'm very interested to see what he does. The big thing for me going forward is they're allowing you guys to use mouse and keyboard, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm planning. I'm gonna bring my stuff down. I'm gonna be playing on a mouse and keyboard at MSI, so. I'm not like a stranger to the keyboard and mouse. I played it before when I first found Smite. I played on PC because my brother introduced me to the game, and I've been grinding and I'm definitely proficient with it more. I'm just definitely a lot more comfortable with it. So I'm looking forward to using it and hopefully doing a lot more than I can do on a controller. Because when you put on a controller, you like are kind of limited because you're not as accurate as you are on a keyboard and mouse. So. Definitely looking forward to see how well I can play.
Is everybody so obviously? I mean, Bobby, he has the PC experience. I imagine he'll be switching over to a mouse and keyboard.
Oh yeah.
Do you have anybody on the squad right now that is going to stick with the controller?
No. Nobody's gonna be playing on a controller at LAN. The hunter role, Griff had to pick up a keyboard and mouse because you can't. He wouldn't be able to contend with any hunter if you played on a controller because it's so hard to consistently hit autos on a controller compared to a keyboard and mouse. So he had to make the switch. Bronic wanted to play on a controller, but over time he kind of he learned how to play on a keyboard because Bronic and Griff are both like box natives.
Mm-hmm.
So they started on Xbox, so they didn't have any prior experience on a keyboard. And over time they've been playing like ranked and we've been scrimming and stuff ever since we qualified for MSI on keyboards, and they've learned to play on it and they became proficient with it. So we're all gonna be playing on keyboards and mouse at LAN, and we hopefully can make some noise. That would be awesome.
Do you think this will lead to any changes down the road for the box community with crossplay or the just being able to use the mouse and keyboard? Do you think that'll ever trickle down just to everyday online play?
Probably eventually. I'm pretty sure Xboxes and PS4s are picking up like keyboard and mouse like compatibility. So probably down the line everybody's going to be using it. Honestly, I probably see myself going to PC like at the end of the year maybe, because I definitely enjoy the game. The game is a lot more enjoyable on a keyboard and mouse because it's just so fluent, and then especially on a PC because the frames are essentially tripled, because on Xbox you only pull around like 60 frames, but on PC I get like 150. So that's like the game is like 3 times quicker, so it feels really, really, really good to play.
Yeah, it was going to be like the next question was like, do you think with everybody kind of being able to use the mouse and keyboard and like essentially being forced because you can't play as well when you go to LAN, are we going to see, you know, the Xbox scene kind of die a little bit? You know, are we going to see console as a whole?
I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're just trying to integrate all the teams into like one league, or not one league, but like into like just playing on like PC in general. Because I think that's what they're trying to do. I think like the viewership for console is not really that great. A lot of people, like I said, you said it yourself that a lot of people just see console as like a bunch of like not really that like great of players, and like not like experienced players, or like not really smart players. And they're right they're right except for like maybe our team and Heat. Like we're the only really two teams that are like competent on Xbox. So
I mean, what about Rival on the, you know, the EU side of things?
Rival, not they're okay. They've definitely fallen off because we scrimmed them. They definitely fallen off, but they're not. I've left them out. They're definitely competent. So is Nemesis for PS4. It's just like they don't really have like Rival and Nemesis. They kind of like Nemesis especially. They kind of like messed them or screwed themselves over because they went to a PS4 scene that was like super like there's no competition at all. So like they don't get like any practice. So like they're like play like in general just probably just like downgraded because they don't play against anybody that really gives them a challenge.
And there's no crossplay
yeah,
too, right?
there's no crossplay, so they can't even play against like PC players or like
Mhm.
us unless they get on Xbox and play. But then they're getting practice on an Xbox controller and not a PS4 controller, so it's kind of just like rough for them to do. I mean, I don't know. They put themselves in that position. Rival did not. Rival, unfortunately, the EU scene is very. I don't know. The EU scene is not really that great, but aside from Rival, so the only other good team is what's it called? Coast team with like Fly and all that, but yeah, they obviously they came in second, so Rivals obviously still the top card. So
Okay. Looking at the first day, is there, I mean, or just across the board, you know, is there anything you're looking forward to most about going to this LAN? And is it whether, because I mean, up until this point, it's except for like World Championships, the PC and Xbox communities have, you know, had their separate events, right? That you guys haven't really had.
Well, we've seen each other like at like World Championships because usually they host the World Championships. Like the box teams will play on different days, and the PC teams will play, and we'll both be there. But some tournaments they have like exclusively box or exclusively PC, and that's usually like the spring LAN, the summer LAN. This is like probably like the first summer LAN where like actually no, because Valencia the PC teams were there, and so were the Xbox teams. So this is probably the second LAN where Xbox teams and everybody's just together in like one LAN. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it because I'll definitely meet different people and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I asked. Is there any team you're kind of hoping to run into on your that first day of play more than anybody else? I mean,
we only play one team on the first day. It kind of so on Monday we play Flashpoint. If we beat them, then we go on to the next day, and then we play the winner of Armada and what's that team?
Simplicity.
Out Cold? No,
Out Cold. Yeah.
Every PC team plays against a console team.
Yeah.
Bracket.
I have
probably end up playing Armada.
The first day of matches are Hype Unit and Flashpoint, Out Cold Armada, Rival Sanguine, Nemesis Simplicity.
Yeah.
So you guys' bracket
we'll
is Flashpoint, and then Out Cold or Armada. And then
so it's probably going to be Armada because, like I said, the EU PS4 scene is probably not. The competition is very like low over there.
Do you think there's a chance for us to get an all console final for this like the first phase of the day? No.
I don't know. I think we're the only team. I'm not trying to be like BM, but I think we're the only team that can have that, like it has a shot at being competitive against the PC teams. Because like all the other teams, they kind of just maybe Rival because Rapio is really good on PC, but one person's not gonna like win them a set. So you know,
I've personally seen Rival scrim against EUSML. I liked what I saw. I think Pred soloed the enemy solo laner on cooldown is what I saw, which was really impressive for me. That's when I started taking like the console like the console versus PC a lot more seriously, because there's certain
Well,
positions,
I
right,
think,
that don't require the same mouse movements. Your support could play fine on a controller. Your solo could play fine on a controller. Obviously, your ADC is gonna be fucked if they're playing on a controller.
Yeah.
Jungle, it's not the same either. You need to be able to have the fluid mouse movements. Some mids, if you're playing Zhong Kui, you could play on a controller.
Like AoE gods, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, in some roles, in some matchups, it works fine. And I think a couple of last I knew, some of the rival guys were going to play with a controller at LAN versus everybody getting on a master keyboard. So I was excited to see that. But I don't know if that's still the case, because obviously you had guys in your squad thinking the same, and it was talked the sense into them.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, if you play on a controller, you kind of just put yourself at a natural disadvantage, because you're not as accurate. You're only using your thumbs compared to like using every finger. Like you use your whole hand for a mouse, so of course you're gonna be more precise because you're using more body parts. So like, yeah, I don't know. I just think you need to play on a keyboard, especially against like those teams, because they're definitely good. They're definitely good teams. They're there for a reason. So.
Yeah. So say you guys make it through the first day, you guys win it all the first day. I keep saying first day, the first phase, right? Mm-hmm. You make it to the second day. You're either playing, well, if you finish first, you're playing Dignitas. If you finish second, you're playing Rival.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Is there either one of those teams you want to play more than the other? You guys feel more confident
honestly,
going into?
No, I think I'd rather play either. Honestly, it'd be a privilege to play either of those teams, because I would like to learn as much as I can playing against them, and hopefully maybe take a game off them, if anything. So that'd be awesome if we got the chance to do that. We gotta get there first. So
yeah, I like it. It's a really humble answer. Like we want to play either one of them. We want to learn as much as we can. We want to. Obviously, getting to that stage, we've proved a point. We're as good as we could hope to be. And then you're kind of running into the upper echelon of PC Smite. So what can you do?
Yeah.
But
just take it on the chin.
That's
what my mom said.
Perfect. It's kind of a shame that we don't have like kind of a losers bracket. I think that would have been really cool to see.
The event would be super long though, because there's so many teams there that if they did a losers bracket, that the event would probably last like 4 or 5 days, unless they like crammed it in. But that would be like long. Those would be super long days. It'd probably be like 8 or 10-hour days.
I mean, but other competitions do that regularly. That are 2-day, 3-day competitions.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know. They did like they're fitting in the Splice Invitational, right? But even that, the Splice Invitational is like a joke, kind of, compared to where it was. A lot like the between the NRG Invitational and the what was the other one? Oh, man.
The Energy and the
United, yeah. So the United, like those were like 2-day long events that include like actual fun game types and like stuff that wasn't just the competition and the draft and everything. And this year it's like it's more serious.
Yeah, everybody's playing like best of 3 conquest match. Like I wish I kind of kept with that like fun side of it, because that's really like I don't know, the viewer perspective. Like most viewers are like casual players. They don't really play competitively. So like if they see like
right, and it's an all-star event, right? Like that's what you want. Like
the conquest map can be very confusing. So
yeah, I definitely want to see like the super sweat. Like I want to see the drafted teams play conquest and all that. But I also want to see like an Aurora team pick all Guardians for a game, right? Like I want to, I want to see some of the fun stuff, like because even the fun casual stuff, like I remember running like Golden Bow or like Odysseus's bow 5 hunters, right, and still doing that and like having fun. But I want to see pros do that. I want to see what they can do,
like the mega sweat with like the weird stuff.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. And so it's kind of sad. I mean, the good thing though is we are going to see. The biggest thing is that every player, I mean, all the captains are, console. So we have console representation across the board. And for people like you who are like going to be making the switch to, PC maybe after this season or whatever,
whatever I see, like I guess I'll just explore my options if I have any.
Yeah. So everybody kind of gets a little bit more exposure. I mean, in that aspect, it's kind of good. I mean, does that cross your mind at all? It's like, oh, this could be like my hello everybody, bumping elbows and like
Yeah,
setting
like
up
my
for.
shot.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of rank recently, and I'm just trying to get like proficient. But I feel like I could definitely make some noise. But at the end of the day, the game is a team game, and individually, I can't like no matter I don't know, I can't like hard carry a game, put in a position to. But like that's not the way to play Smite. I think the way to play Smite is as a unit and together and as a team. So as long as we're all working together and we're all like working as a unit, we can definitely make some noise, I feel.
All right, for sure, definitely. I think that's all the questions I really have. Is there anything that I haven't talked about with you, or anything you want to say before I let you go?
I don't really know. I guess shout out to Hype Unit, and I'll see you guys on the 8th at MSI.
All right, good luck. Really excited to see what you guys can do. You know, just don't choke.
Don't choke, forehead. I got it.
All right. So good luck, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. See you, man.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our next or last or first interview. I'm really just not sure how these are going to air. But today, this segment, we've got the duo lane for console rival. We've got DineOhSaw and we've got Davy. How you guys doing?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm good. Likewise, thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure to have you guys on. Definitely wanted to give you guys a bit of the spotlight because I feel like you guys had been ragged on pretty hard, and you know, more than your fair share. As you know, box guys, and then coming from EU box too, that's even worse.
Yeah, a little bit. Get a bit overlooked.
Yeah, definitely. And then you guys got like, what was it? 5 straight minutes of being shit on by the Esports Weekly show.
Oh yeah. We're hoping that no one saw that, but you know.
Didn't get the information right either. That was the annoying part, but it's fine. It's fine.
So I mean, you guys have been. I mean, so you got Vaporish Coast as like the other EU team, but I think you guys for the last about year or so now have really been the EU squad. Traditionally, especially coming, the console scene has been the reverse of the PC scene, where EU's been stronger. EU's been the weaker side for console in that regards. But you guys kind of flipping the script. You guys, finding wins over, the NA World Champions at sometimes. Obviously losing out this last year on the reverse bracket run. But, you still guys make it a good run. How's it feel to kind of be the torchbearers for that EU side of things?
It's fantastic, honestly. After the World Championships last year, the rival team decided they wanted to make some roster changes, and I was dropped from the roster. And going into the start of Season 6, I made a new squad with Davy, which obviously we've had quite a lot of success with. So far so that a couple of the old rival team members came to join us, and the rival org was also interested in picking us up, and we've ended up on top.
That's always the best play, right? When you get proven right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So this year you guys ended up the top team, right? You guys had a pretty good run. Obviously some, did you guys didn't run the gambit like so I know Hype Unit like lost 1 game. Did you guys go undefeated?
We lost a couple of games.
Oh, we lost. Yeah.
Was it 1 set?
We lost 2 sets, but the first one got put back into our favor because.
Oh yeah.
You guys also had some of the some controversy, right? You guys were like the account sharing stuff happened to you guys, like in scrims or something like that.
Yeah, as the other team, one of the players.
Yeah, the team that was mainly contesting us for first seed had one of their players slip into our scrims to find out what we're playing on another person's account the day before we were due to play them, and obviously we noticed something was up and reported it, and we went on to lose that set the next day, but it got flipped back into our favor when the account sharing was proven.
Okay, so you guys ended up doing pretty well, and then I'm assuming the second set loss was around the time of the roster swap.
Sorry,
I'll let
we won the first set after the roster swap. We 2-0'd them, and then we got 2-0'd, and then we won the other one, obviously. Yeah.
Okay. Kind of taking a step back, focusing on the roster. You guys had like a really strong squad. and then kind of seemingly out of nowhere, mid lane changes, ends up on the other team. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about kind of what happened there, kind of thoughts, feelings on it, and like coming out of that with the new mid laner, Dobson, how you guys felt moving forward?
So the main reason I'd say for the change was personality clashes on the team. We'd all been, or Rapio, Preds, Fly, and I had all been on a team for about a year and a half prior to this season, and tensions have been building up between a couple of those players, and Fly decided that it was time for him to step down and moved over to the second seed team, and the next logical move for us was to pick up Dobson, which obviously also turned out well.
Yeah. You guys.
I think Dobson fits the team dynamic maybe better than Fly did. He's more. Fly's quite a self-centered player, and he justifies that with his play. But with the way our team works, it's better for us to have someone like Dobson who's a bit more aggressive, a bit more, or a bit less calculated, a bit more eager to die for the team than to have someone with Fly's playstyle.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Replacing somebody, getting a different bit of a style. Obviously, you had to make the change, but the change ended up working out. You guys did finish, first for EU. Obviously, that's got to feel pretty good, I imagine. Having one of your players jump ship to the other team and still beating the other team. That's always a good feeling.
Yeah, we're hoping it would turn out that way.
Yeah.
We clearly made the right choice on the replacement mid laner.
Yeah.
So you guys have to deal with like the double whammy of, everybody kind of looks down on console, but then being EU team, they look down on you even more. Going into MSI, how does it feel to be like the double underdog?
It's a lot of comfort, I feel. If we show up and we get absolutely stomped and lose the first set and we're out, then no one expected more. But I feel like we do have the potential, especially with Sanguine missing their solo laner for their coach due to some visa issues. I think we have a really good chance of at least winning the first set, which would reflect quite well on us, I'd hope. Yeah,
I mean, I've kind of talked to a couple people in the same position, in a console team, and they're like, yeah, there's not really any pressure. Nobody expects us to do anything, so if we don't, it doesn't matter. But I feel like that almost because of your guys' position in the Smite community, coming from the console community, you guys almost have to do something. You guys have to win, or else it's like no one's gonna take you serious ever, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there is some pressure on that front, but like you've said, it goes both ways. So
the perception is probably not perception probably won't change if we lose, but obviously for us it's bad if we lose. Mentally, innit? Prefer to win.
So I know I've talked to some some other console teams. Leading into MSI and everything, they did a lot of scrimming with PC teams. Is that something you guys have done? Obviously, you guys are in EU. The EU scene is it's not dead, but it's not the strongest it's ever been. You've got your EU SML teams, but you don't really have much outside of that. Have you guys found it harder to get quality scrims, or because the EU scene is so small in Smite right now, has that kind of enabled you guys to use crossplay to your advantage and get more and better scrims?
It's been quite a challenge, honestly. The two top SML teams that are going have obviously been scrim partners leading up to this event. They don't scrim too often, and they've mainly just played each other. The bottom two SML teams, apart from one set that we played the other day against Out Cold, haven't been playing scrim since the end of the split. So we've been playing a selection of combine teams, which has been good practice. We found it a lot more productive than playing console teams. And I hope that shows through in our play.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing that's big, that is a big talking point going into MSI for the console squads is the ability for you guys to use mouse and keyboard. I think all of Hype Unit is making that switch and they're all using mouse and keyboard. Are you guys kind of following the same way, or are any of you guys, you know, still using a controller at the LAN?
I'll let Davy take it.
Yeah, me and Dobson are using controller, and then DineOhSaw, Rapio, and Preds are using mouse and keyboard.
Really? I feel like that's really interesting. I feel like there's like a couple people who I would expect to use like a controller. Like I think Preds, like your solo laner doesn't need to use a mouse and keyboard. Like the movements you make on a controller are pretty similar to your mouse and keyboard. But as an ADC opting into the controller, I mean that's kind of ballsy.
Yeah. No, I've never played mouse and keyboard before. Like I could have tried to learn it, but I just feel like even if I learned it for like 6 weeks, I still would have been better on controller than I would on mouse and keyboard. So
Okay. And then
also,
go ahead.
I don't think we're gonna lose down to mechanics or out. I just think it's gonna be like depending on how good we are as a team on the day, pretty much. That's my opinion.
Okay. I mean, it's a lot. I personally, I like seeing that people are going to be using the controllers, right? It feels more genuine to me.
Yeah.
Having everybody switch to mouse and keyboard when they can't use mouse and keyboard for, you know, league play, you know, online stuff, like that feels really weird to me. And then you're kind of switching the message when you go to LAN. I don't know. How did you guys feel about that when that kind of announcement came through?
Initially, I thought it was great news because Rapio and I came from PC, so we're quite comfortable with mouse and keyboard. Preds was very eager to pick one up because he's kind of played it sporadically and found a lot more success with the mouse and keyboard. I know, like you said, with a solo laner, it's not, the mechanics aren't the be all and end all. The movement's kind of similar, but he much prefers playing with the mouse and keyboard, and he's like come ahead leaps and bounds with his mechanics. But it seemed like a bit of an odd decision because there's no real console teams at this event anymore, so to speak, because everyone that can use a mouse and keyboard is obviously going to opt into that. So it's almost like Hype Unit, for example, they're no longer a console team. They're just another either combine or minor league team because they're all using mouse and keyboard.
I'm pretty sure on every team, every console team, there's at least 2 players using. I'm pretty sure on the PS4 EU team, 2 of them using mouse and keyboard. I think, or 1.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. And then everyone, I'm pretty sure both the NA box and PS4 team are using all M&K. I think.
Yeah.
Obviously 3 of us. It's pretty weird, I think. But
do you think that like Hi-Rez, skill shot, whatever, is kind of trying to move towards everybody using mouse and keyboard? Do you think? Because I mean, you look at like other MOBAs or MOBA-esque games that are on the consoles, or at least were, like Paragon comes to mind. They had mouse and keyboard support on the PS4, so no matter, and crossplay. So you know, no matter where you were, you had the same experience. There wasn't really the divide that we have in Smite. Do you think we're trying to move forward towards a more homogenous experience with the crossplay involved, and then maybe getting, you know, mouse and keyboard enabled for, you know, just regular play?
I think so. I think at the start of the Season 6 patch notes, Ajax or one of the development team mentioned that they were looking into getting mouse and keyboard support for consoles. I think on a competitive level, it's just for this season specifically, when crossplay is so new, it's just a case of leveling the playing field. Because obviously having a mouse and keyboard is such an advantage. It would be a bit unfair to not offer the same.
Do you think?
But then, other side of the coin, we are console teams. Does it not make sense to have us using controllers?
I also think we should just be allowed. Like if it's going to be allowed at LAN, I feel like it should just be allowed in the split as well. But
right, yeah, because it's 2 different messagings. Like, oh, you can't do it here.
Sense, yeah.
Oh, until the games actually matter, then you could use them.
Yeah,
like you practice it for this many weeks, and then you have to change, and then change it back again. It just don't make sense to me. But.
And this is like the first year too, as far as I know, there's no console specific like LAN or event for spring or summer, right? So are you, I mean, does that kind of feel weird to you guys too, that you guys have become like you said, like there's no difference than you or a Combine or SML team at this point?
Yeah, it's a bit I'd say honestly, I found it a bit disappointing because for us console teams that have been playing, or I've been to probably 5 or 6 LAN events over the past 2 years, and every single LAN event we play against a similar mix of NA players that have formed teams. Hype stayed the same for about 2 years or a year and a half, but it's always nice to see how you measure up against the other console teams, and we're not going to get that this summer at least, and possibly not this fall.
Yeah, I mean, are you guys? Is there, as far as I know, is there like any actual word on a Smite console world championship, or is it gonna be you guys also feeding into? Is it just the world championship now? Like, I haven't heard anything on that.
I don't think we've had anything
no
for
clue.
it either.
I have no clue. I hope it's just console, and then whatever they want to do after that. But I hope there's a console specific one. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
In my eyes, the ideal scenario is a console world championships dedicated to console, same as last year. And then if they want to give an option for maybe the top 2 teams to play into a play-in bracket afterwards for the proper world championships, then that might make sense if they wanted to push crossplay into the world championships as well. But then obviously the console world championships would have to happen beforehand,
Yeah,
which could throw a spanner in the works. I don't know how they'd work that out, but that's just my take on a possible option.
yeah. Who knows? I mean, the more we talk about it, the more we kind of break it down. It just, who knows what we're really doing with the console scene, and if they add mouse and keyboard, what's to just add you guys kind of into the fold of SML, right? Or even, I guess, Combine, but that would kind of be shitty. I don't know.
Yeah, Combine, I mean, that would obviously be a step down for our players that have been playing in a guaranteed league. But if they were to put mouse and keyboard support on console, then it only really makes sense to merge the minor leagues, or well, obviously everyone would have to play, but it would have to be a fresh playing field with no free spots given, apart from maybe the top 2 minor league teams, and everyone else would have to play for it. And honestly, I don't think many console teams would make it, if any at all. But that's just Europe.
Yeah, I mean, you and Vaporish Coast, right? Like, that's like the big teams. That's it, right? Like, you. Yeah. But I mean, in A2, like, you look at the box community. It's like, well, it was Astral Authority winning everything for like 2 years, and then Myth won, and then you guys kind of started winning some stuff. But other than that, like, there's always one team at the top, and then maybe across the region there's another one, and the other, like, the number 2 team is there but not really. I don't know, it feels very much, in the early days of the PC scene, right? You guys are still growing and maturing, and then to now kind of kill off the community as you guys are making that step, it feels weird.
Yeah, obviously console's been a couple of years behind on community development compared to PC, and I feel that I don't know what the casual player base is like, numbers wise, but the competitive player base, I think, was slowly growing close together between the regions and in their own region individually. And it is a bit of a disappointment again to have crossplay kind of remove all console to console play on an international stage. But
do you think,
in my opinion, crossplay is an upgrade?
Do you think having so many console players jump ship to try to go to PC and then fail kind of hurt the scene at all?
It's hard to say, because most of them ended up coming back, so not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I just think of, like, people, after Astral Authority was winning everything, and then you had like almost the whole team try to go up, and you look at, I think Brochacho is probably like the best example, right? Everybody had so much good things to say about his support play in the console leagues. Like, okay, that should 1-to-1 come up to PC play, and then flamed out in like the first round of open bracket, like.
Yeah.
So.
Just roughing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna let you take that one, but yeah, it's console players, generally speaking, just don't measure up. It's not through lack of talent; it's just lack of good constant competition, because teams fluctuate and people like leave, come back, teams disband, and especially with the addition of the PS4 League, a lot of the good competition. This is mainly speaking for NA, but a lot of the good competition kind of jumped ship rather than having to put the effort in to they
get a
moved to
free map,
PS4 to
pretty much.
guarantee their first seed spot.
Yeah, it's hard to fight with that. You either get the guaranteed spot, or maybe you have to fight, and there's a super team that's now in NA. Definitely not.
You can't blame them, but
Oh no, definitely not.
still,
If you're
like,
in their shoes, you'd take the guaranteed spot, wouldn't you?
But I mean, at that point, you're losing competition. You switch to PS4, you
exactly.
don't get crossplay. So then, if you do scrims, you have to go back to Xbox, and then you're not getting practice on a controller that you'll be using. But then I guess you're not getting practice on the controller you're using anyway, because you're going to mouse and keyboard. It's all kind of a mess at this point.
Yeah, I think a lot of these issues will get ironed out over the next 6 months or so.
I mean, here's hoping. I definitely want to see you guys continue to exist and grow. I think, looking back to like the first LAN, right? You look at like, when the PC pros with Weekend came down and kicked everyone's ass, and then where you guys are now. I don't think that could happen. I think you guys have like definitely, the scene has created its own meta and its own stuff, and the ability that you have on a controller. You can't just come up and pick that up now on day one.
No, it's obviously the skill gap has grown, and game knowledge pure game knowledge and experience playing on a mouse and keyboard doesn't really make the cut anymore. I don't think. Obviously, they'd be miles ahead in terms of tactics, but I think if there are any middle to lower end SPL players that wanted to move down, they wouldn't have as easy a time as they did previously.
Okay, looking at MSI specifically, is there any team you're looking at, more than anybody else that you kind of want to play?
If we obviously the only team I wanted to play from when we first made the team at the start of the season before crossplay came out was Hype, obviously, but I don't think we'll be able to play them, but we'll see.
I mean,
I
Simplicity
think
the best team there.
Yeah, we're expecting Simplicity to fly through the bracket without any issues at all, which is obviously a problem for us because we'd play them in the second round after Sanguine. And in order to play Hype, which for the past year and a half have been our biggest competitor internationally, it's just not really, it's possible, but extremely unlikely that we both make it through 2 SML teams to get there to play each other.
Do you think you or Hype Unit have a chance of making the finals for that first phase of competition?
I think Hype have the better chance. I think they have now Flashpoint might not be able to make their mid come either, and obviously Armada don't scrim, I'm pretty sure. So I think Hype have the best chance, and I hope they can make a run. So
I think we
have a good chance of beating Sanguine, but Simplicity just.
I think Sanguine will be some good games, but speaking from scrim experience and watching them play other SML teams, Simplicity are kind of 2 levels ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely took a minute to find their footing, but at the end of the year they were really just crushing it. And then you guys, obviously they were scrimming the other top team. They were scrimming Flashpoints. It kind of leaves you guys out in the cold, getting the scraps whenever you can. But I'm excited to see how excited to see you play against Sanguine. Obviously, it sucks that their solo laner won't be there, so it'll be not 100% Sanguine strength. But seeing Hype Unit go up against Flashpoint, that's a fun game to me. But again, they're also not at 100%, right? So then we see Hype and Armada, and then you guys in Simplicity. I really would love to see. I've been saying this for a while. I saw you guys scrim a PC team way back at the beginning of the year or something like that, and liked a lot of what I saw, and I think you guys definitely have a lot of potential. Watching your guys' scrim really made me pay more attention and get a lot more excited for the MSI event where they would be, console versus PC. I'm definitely looking forward. I think Pred has been an amazing solo, and I'm really excited to see him go up against Maniac, and then Rapio's been killing it in the jungle as well. Like you said, he's been playing PC, he's been playing at a high level there and on console. So seeing what he's able to do, and then with Dobson, seeing how he handles the lane, and you guys, how you kind of hold down the duo lane against PC, especially as a controller user. I'll be paying very close attention to how that duo lane goes.
I'm pretty confident in my ability, but like, on the controller, I don't really mind too much.
Yeah.
space.
I don't want to give a lot away, so I won't say too much. But speaking from the scrims we've had, the controller for both Davy and Dobson hasn't been much of a hindrance. They've both been really solid performers.
All right, that's what I like to hear. I'm excited to see you guys play. Say you do, we get, the console finals. You and Hype Unit run the gamut. You guys run through Armada and Simplicity and make it to the next day. What would it be like for you guys as a console team to then play, obviously, say you finish first. You're playing, it's a rival versus rival game. Or you guys finish second year against Dig, playing against the best SPL teams. What would that kind of mean to you guys?
The opportunity, yeah, massive. Obviously, all those players are players we've looked up to for years, and the opportunity to even get 1 or 2 games against them would be fantastic. The amount you could learn from that is incredible.
Ridiculous.
Obviously, there'd be some very one-sided affairs, but I expect it to be like that even against the SML teams. So,
see, now you gotta have some confidence. You gotta say we're at least on par with the SML teams, right? You gotta come out.
Yeah.
With that bravado.
We are at least.
At least,
At least on par.
I actually think Simplicity might be able to do something, but yeah, I think they're the only team that could have a chance. I don't think it's a big chance against rival or Dig, but I think they have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the SPL talent, right? I mean, they are SPL players who came down to the SML, so I mean, it makes sense when they get to land that they maybe can do something. And I'm sure they were also, because of who they are, maybe getting some scrims against some SPL talent whenever they can. Yeah, I guess not now because the region, but I think Simplicity was getting scrims before Renegades moved over, though, is what I was hearing.
Yeah,
right?
they scrim Renegades like 40 times, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard them say. I think something like that. Yeah.
So, should be a really interesting event. I mean, besides the games, is there anything that like you're looking forward to? Is it kind of a shame that the console boys aren't gonna be there in full force? I've heard stories, I've talked to Mifflin and he's given me like the best rundown ever of what happens at the lands, and it sounds like a great time. I mean, obviously, what was it, like 2 years ago, watching the was it the summer finals or the fall, whatever event that led into like the one team getting knocked out of being able to go to Worlds.
Saw versus was it Saw?
Kaz, wasn't it? Kaz,
Saw versus Kaz.
Yes. I mean, watching that was like some of the best Smite experience. Maybe not the best Smite games, but like the experience of watching was amazing.
Yeah, that was we lost the previous set, and all of our players left in a bad mood after our set, and we all wished we'd stayed in the studio for that. I don't know if you saw the footage on Twitter.
Yeah, I was watching.
Like 100, 200 people all in the studio jumping up, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. So is it going to be a little bit of a disappointment that like that box feeling is not going to be here for this next LAN?
Yeah, a little bit, honestly. Xbox is a bit less professional. I'd say a bit more fun, which is always great. But with the amount of time that we're starting to put in, or all the box teams are starting to put in, I think taking steps forwards to being more professional is also great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I really have. Is there anything that you guys want to say? Anything that I didn't really touch on or give you a chance to speak out on?
Nothing comes to mind, no. Do you have anything?
Not really. No, not really.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. Obviously, shout outs to Rival the Org for being such a good org to you guys.
Yeah, they're insane.
Yeah, definitely. They take great care of us.
Yeah, and best of luck in MSI. I really want to see you guys do well. I want to see Davy hit as many autos as Polar Bear Mike hits Fafnir hammers. So 100%.
100%.
All right.
Thank you very much for having us on.
Yep. Thanks for coming on, guys. And, like I said, best of luck.
Thank you. See you later.
All right. Thanks for watching all of those interviews. I hope you guys enjoyed watching them as much as I enjoyed doing them. It was good to sit down and do so many interviews and talk to so many different people and touch, not only the SPL, but the SML and then console league as well. Being able to reconnect with all of those aspects of the Smite scene was really nice. So we already dropped a couple of skin codes into the chat. We dropped in a Luminous Bastet and a Pendragon King Arthur. We do, however, have a couple more rewarding the people that stuck through here through all the interviews. It was like 2 hours or so worth of interviews. It's been a really long show, so everybody who stuck around, you guys are going to get rewarded. We have Run Supreme, and then we have the Poseidon Freedom Overload skin. So I'll be putting a few of those into chat, and it's first come, first serve. The only person I know who's here for sure is SoloOrTroll, so I don't want to give him all of the skin codes. So if there's anybody else in chat right now, just go ahead and speak up so that I have the chance to kind of give you some skins. Otherwise, I will, just wrap this show on up. We'll all go home. We'll put this all out on the YouTube release, and we'll call it a day. Each one of these segments, each one of these interviews will be put up individually on YouTube. And, on top of, I don't know if we'll do the full show. We've still got to figure that out. And then I do believe we will have a couple more interviews to come after the fact. The Final K interview has fallen through, I think, unless he messages me here in like the next few minutes. And then on top of that, Emil's I keep trying to get, and then maybe I'll have a dig. But all those will be, direct to YouTube releases before MSI if they do happen. So keep an eye out for that content over at youtube.com/UGC or UGC events producer. Which one is it? You tell me in my ear. You whisper sweet nothings of the links. UGC events. So youtube.com/UGC events. You'll find all of our content there. We'll be doing more specialized stuff. On top of that, too, big news for us is that we now are on podcasting apps. So everywhere you go, anywhere you want to listen to us, you can. Spotify, I believe, iTunes, and Google Music, Google Play, whatever it is. So that's exciting. So we're moving on up in the world. And so nobody's typing in chat that they want the skins. So I'll hold on to them myself, give them to my Twitter followers or whatever. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be hoping to get this back. The next time we'll do this will be our regular time, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be after the start of MSI, and we'll have a lot to look forward to. So I'll see you guys next time around the Battleground. Thanks for watching, everybody.